What do you know? Inflation is hot. The job market is falling apart. Is that what's going to be the headline of the day? Let's go into the numbers, but then let's go behind the numbers and really figure out if inflation is truly running hot, like CPI headline today. More importantly, what is going on in the jobs market, because there was a gigantic leap forward in the weekly unemployment claims. Remember, folks, weekly unemployment claims, if you're going to look at one number every week as a casual economist, it would be the weekly unemployment claims. So let's get into it. It is CPI day. I will just kind of headline it that CPI was hotter than expected, pretty much across the board. We will share those numbers, and then I want to do some math for you. We're going to do some math together. So what happened with CPI? Again, remember, we talk about four numbers: headline, core, month on month, year on year. So let's go through CPI headline. Last month was 2.5. The expectation was 2.3. It was expected to fall. It came in at 2.4. So lower than last month, continuing the downtrend, but not as low as expected. Let's go to core. Core last month was 3.2, was expected to be 3.2, actually came in hot. It came in more than expected, came in at 3.3. So again, inflation reading was higher than expected for headline and core. And really what that boils down to are the month-on-month numbers. Month-on-month was expected to be up 0.1 for headline, came in at 0.2. Core was expected to be up 0.2. It came in at 0.3. So is this all a sign that inflation is picking up, that the dreaded round two of inflation is here? I don't think so. I don't think so. Something you and I have talked about for quite a while is that shelter makes up roughly 1/3 of the CPI reading. We did this for the first time, I think, a year ago. So let's just back out inflation for shelter. Why do I mean to do that? Well, if you know anything about rental inflation today, it is basically zero. If you look at actuals, a broad actual, shelter inflation is zero. Well, inside this CPI report, again, because it reports it backwards looking for 12 months, shelter came in at 4.9%. Now, on the surface, 4.9% for shelter inflation is actually a net positive because it was running at over 5 and over 6 and over 7. Now shelter reading is 4.9. However, if it's reported at 4.9 but actual is 0, I think it bears understanding what is the impact of that misallocation. Well, it's very simple to figure out. If you take 4.9%, if you multiply that by 32%, which is the weighting inside CPI, you get an impact of 1.56. So of the 2.4, right, 2.4% that was reported, 1.56% of that is inaccurate shelter inflation. So what do you do with that number? Well, it's very simple. You take 2.4, you minus 1.56, and you actually get a adjusted or corrected or whatever you want to call it, headline reading of 0.84. Inflation with a correct shelter calculation is under 1%. Inflation adjusted. Just that one correction, right? Going from a legacy 12 months to a actual up to date, you get a much better inflation reading. So again, inflation a little hotter when you report the numbers, but if you correct for this inflation or shelter cost, the inflation battle is over. Now let's go to the job market. Again, if I wanted to be a fear monger, I would be screaming right now saying the weekly unemployment report did what I was warning. I have been highlighting for weeks now, as long as the weekly unemployment claim stays at 230-ish, not much to be concerned. What we are worried about is a big leap forward to over 250, and then it goes to 270, and then it goes to 290, right? Because it is said the unemployment market takes the elevator up and the stairs down. Well, folks, we got an unemployment number this week. Last week was 230. Last week was 235. Estimate was 230. Actual 258. That's the jump I've been warning about. Shouldn't I be sitting here screaming and warning you and the sky is falling and all of that? Well, let's once again remember what we learned, was it 3 months ago? 3 months ago, there was a weather system that hit Texas. And when it hit Texas, it caused a 2-week kerfuffle in the weekly jobless claims because there were people that were unemployed because of weather and whatever, and unemployment spiked. And we're like, here is the start of a problem. Well, folks, if you haven't been paying attention, we've just had a little bit of weather on the East Coast was that East Coast area? Called Helene. And next week, let's not forget, we will also, and on top of that, Milton. So, 258, I will admit, concerning. But given that the world should know we have had some weather-related job loss, that is very likely to come back. That is very likely to be employed in the cleanup, right? There's going to be, it's like a tsunami, right? There's a goes out, but then people come back in to help repair. So again, inflation was hotter than expected, but again, if you correct for shelter, not much of a concern. If you look at the unemployment headline, 258, concerning. But again, if we just take a pause, a breath, realize that we learned what happened in Texas. Now we are having a repeat with Helene and very likely Milton. Let's see what happens when we go forward. All right. What else did we learn in the last couple of days? Costco reported their September sales up 9% year on year. Again, I'm always curious, was this just people stocking up because of weather on the East Coast and things of that nature? But yes, Costco sales up. Delta Airlines actually saying the quiet part out loud. What do I mean by that? Delta Airlines CEO, the consumer is likely to pause travel around the election. The election is going to cause a pause in travel. Folks, I've been saying it for quite a while that this election is going to cause consumers to pull back. We now even have the CEO of Delta Airlines indicating that consumers will pull back around the election. Thus, Delta's guidance for Q4 was less than expected. I did find an Albert Einstein quote that I thought was very accurate. Definitely what I see today. Here we go. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Folks, if you are on YouTube, if you are a content creator on YouTube, here are two realities. When you create your channel, you have a choice. You can go after views and clicks and money, or you can go after impact. If you want to go after the money, you create a channel that produces daily negative and fear-based content. Because people will click on things like that. Tell people what they want to hear and they'll watch. However, if you are going to chase impact, you have to tell them the truth. Tell them what they don't want to hear. Get them motivated. Obviously, at one rental at a time, we chase impact. We're not after the clicks, but you all know the channels that are. Please block them. They are not good for you. They are not good for you. And frankly, the creators of negative and doom channels, man, they have to live a miserable life. Can you imagine being in that daily toxic negativity? Ugh, frightening. We did get the Fed meeting minutes for the last meeting, it was a lot more splintered. We were led to believe by Jerome Powell that the decision for the rate increase was an 18-1 decision, nearly unanimous. Not true. Not true. If you go through the meeting minutes like I did, you could definitely see that there was certainly more than one, probably upwards of 5 or 6, possibly even more, that would have loved to have gone a quarter. We were again led to believe that it was only one person, Michelle Bowman, who dissented. Reading the meeting minutes, it certainly feels like it could have been 5 or 6 that would have dissented if they really gave their opinion, but they went along with it. Again, this is important because, again, what is coming next? This is going to be important. Some expressed misgivings about the signal that 50 would send. Some are watching the lending market to see if it gets too loose. Again, the Fed's job is not getting easier from here. Again, the headline inflation getting worse, the job market getting worse, stagflation. I can already hear the people screaming. But again, remember, if you adjust for shelter, inflation under 1, and the job market, the weekly jobless claims likely distorted by weather. I don't know if you saw this, but there's been talk of a wealth tax in the U.S., wealth tax. Again, folks, I don't know why people don't look at history. Wealth tax has been tried before out in Norway. Norway estimated that their wealth tax, they're going after the rich, going after the billionaires, was supposed to bring in an additional $146 million. Again, Norway established a wealth tax because they saw it as a way to bring in an additional tax base of $146 million. So they implemented it. They sold it to the public. It became official. Guess what happened? These rich people are rather mobile. If you target a rather mobile individual who, oh, by the way, has resources, guess what they do? They move. They leave their country. So what happened to Norway? Well, again, Norway promised the public that this would bring in $146 million. It would soak the rich. It would be all fair and good. Well, individuals worth a collective $54 billion left Norway. If you mistreat capital, it will leave. So again, they targeted and aimed at raising 146, $54 billion left. And guess what? The tax base fell $594 million. Again, Norway's plan was to soak the rich and throw on another $46 million. What they actually got was over $500 million in tax losses that, guess what? They need. Guess what that means? Tax the middle class. How stupid do you have to be to say, I'm going to go after the billionaires? You know, the guys with the private planes and, all of the, 8 houses around the world. You don't think they're going to get up and move? How stupid is that? It's mind-numbingly stupid. I do want to congratulate one brand new school member. I like to see school group grow. Please help it grow every day. We need to get over 300 to really start ramping up the school leaderboard. We are still the number 5 school. We were the number 3 and then the number 4. We are now stuck at number 5, so I got to keep adding value. I want to congratulate Ben. Ben joined the school group yesterday. Ben, make sure you introduce yourself. It's a great community. They will do everything they can to welcome you, answer questions, things like that. To that end, we did have an accountability group yesterday. Shout out Frank for running that. 2.5 hours. There was some power interruptions, but the team still kept going. That's the dedication this community has. You all talked about measuring kitchen cabinets, butcher block, and buying properties around a newly approved casino. Again, folks, school is all about interactions. Join the group. Ask questions. We have experienced investors, new investors, contractors, multifamily, short-term, midterm. Everybody is there. As the community grows, interaction grows, and we can help more and more people. What else do I got? Oh, let's talk about this. I had a great conversation with Matt, the mortgage guy. Very important video went out yesterday. Please go watch it if you haven't seen it. We talked about how soon mortgage rates could be 4.5%. Yes, folks, 4.5%. Now, please hear me. I, Michael Zuber, is not calling 30-year mortgage at 4.5%. However, some other experts out there have, and they shared their data with us. I gave it to you, and shout out Matt for doing that. We shared it yesterday in that video. I could see their logic. In fact, 9 out of the last 10 times the Fed cut interest rates, did you know the 10-year note went up? What happened this time? The Fed cut 50 and mortgage rates went up 50 basis points, 60 basis points. However, if you look at the other 9 out of 10 times, that rate increase was short-lived. Then what we see is that short-lived rate increase starts a rather dramatic fall in mortgage rates. If you look at the data and you take the average, it is possible that mortgage rates will end at something sub 5%. Now, as that conversation with Matt, the mortgage guy, went, the big question that is not answered in the data is how long does it take? How long does it take from the first rate cut, the subtle bump in the 10-year, i.e. mortgage rates, and then how long is this drop? That is something I need to look up. I plan to do that in the next couple of days to figure out, hey, if we look at history and we take average, all we need now is duration. I like mental exercises like that, so do me a favor, check out that video. It did go somewhat viral. It went, 1,500 views in a couple of hours. So it's one you need to pay attention to. But again, very, very clear. My call as of today has not changed about mortgage rates in 2025. I do not see them going below 5.8. What we did yesterday was just a mental exercise in what has happened historically. What I need to understand, again, is duration. And I won't understand duration until the next couple of days when I go back and look at history to see what happened. So folks, again, like, subscribe, comment. This is the Daily Financial News. We do it 5 days a week live. 147 people are watching live, now 148. I want you to know your watching live with me makes me feel good. It makes me feel that the time I spend putting together this data is worth it. We do have 33 thumbs up this morning, 33 thumbs up, a little better than average. Hopefully we can get that up to several hundred. Leave comments below. Get the YouTube algorithm, working in our favor. I hope you have a wonderful couple of days. I do need to do my long run for marathon training. We are about 3 weeks out. Yes, I'm going to accomplish my 2024 hard goal here shortly. Folks, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. Become part of school and the amazing community. Later.